Laughter, adventure, misadventure, cute explosion lollies, masochist freaks, assholes, and useless goddesses. If any of these things sound remotely enticing to you, stick around because Konosuba has it all. Welcome to I Finally Watched, the show that was created as an excuse to remain behind on all the best shows I haven't watched yet. For our first episode, let's talk about the show that got me back into anime, Konosuba. Fully titled as Konosuba Sakai ni Shukafuku wo, or Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, Konosuba starts out as a pretty standard band of misfits isekai that finds its place by focusing on the characters and the world and less on the objective. The basic concept of Konosuba is not new. Protagonist is transported to another world where they either fight towards a goal or just simply survive. Our protagonist Kazuma is thrust into this world after the NEET heroically saves a girl from inevitable death by pushing her out of the streets and taking her place. When he wakes up, he's greeted by a goddess named Aqua who explains that he has a choice: be born anew in the world that he knows and start over, or be teleported as is along with one item of his choice to another world, tasked to fight the Demon King. Being the nerd he is, it's obvious what choice is made. We'll get into spoiler talk a bit later, but first I want to talk about the general production of the show. It's no secret that Konosuba was adapted to an anime for one main purpose: to sell the light novel. There's nothing wrong with this approach, and there's no denying it works. It worked on me at least. But it certainly shows in some aspect of the anime. Having watched the show and then read the manga, there's definitely stuff that was pulled from the show in a strategic attempt to give you just enough meat to love the characters, the world, and the humor, but leave you wanting more. You can certainly watch the anime and never pick up a comic or novel and not feel like you're left out, but reading into more of the content available will give you insight on each character and their story. We'll get back to the characters in a bit in spoiler territory, but for now let's talk animation. The animation of the show is not going to blow your socks off, but it never gets in the way or becomes annoying, even in the midst of battle or action, and small style breaks are often used to extend the point of a given topic. It's crisp, clear, and very easy to watch, exactly what you want with this kind of show. The special effects and action scenes, when magic is being cast or a tower is being blasted, are visually pleasing, and much like the animation, doesn't get in the way of the viewing experience. While this may sound like I wasn't impressed by the special effects, being used sparingly and tastefully is actually something a lot of shows struggle with, and when one pulls it off like Konosuba, it deserves praise. The sound design strikes a similar tune to the animation and special effects. Nothing stands out as horrible, and nothing stands out as amazing. Many shows take one of three approaches with sound design. They either beat you over the head while screaming, "Look at us, we didn't forget about sound design and we're proud of it," or they intentionally, or accidentally, leave most of the sound design out. The third category is the holy grail, somewhere in the middle. Vivid Strike is a good example of this, as you can feel every punch intended without being distracted by it. Konosuba falls closer to the side of forgetting, but it's not entirely lacking. I've been wanting to talk about the voice acting for a while now, so here goes. Many of the characters are voiced by up-and-coming or small-time actors, and you can tell they're giving it their all. Emotion, tone, and intent are all very well broadcast by the actors, unlike me, and the interactions between characters flow very naturally. Having a crew that wants to succeed, that works so well together, paired with the lovability of the characters, combines to bring a very well put together experience. And it all comes together to make you feel like another member of the Misfits. The voice acting is possibly my favorite part of the anime adaptation, and I'm very glad it worked out this way. Now's the time I have to talk about spoilers. If you want to skip these, go to this timestamp. The basic plot of the show still stands, however you'll find that this show jumps at the opportunity to turn the plot on its head and do something unexpected. Rather than letting Kazuma die a respectable death, we quickly learn that instead of heroically saving the damsel in distress at the cost of his life, he died of shock simply because he thought he was going to die. The fast-moving truck turns out to be a slow-moving tractor, and the afterlife goddess turns out to be a massive troll. She starts by pointing out to Kazuma how stupid his death was, and that all the doctors and his family were laughing at him for dying in such a stupid way. The show never stops hitting you with the unexpected though, as mere minutes later when told he can bring one of anything with him into this new world to help him on his journey, he chooses the goddess that just made fun of him to get back at her, instead of an all-powerful sword or set of armor. Suddenly this troll of a goddess turns into a blubbering fool at the hands of Kazuma, and they're forced to sign up for manual labor jobs instead of becoming adventurers, delaying their end goal of defeating the Demon King. We're then given a several-minute montage of Aqua and Kazuma working manual labor jobs, going to the pub, throwing up in an alleyway, and waking up in their horse stall of a home to do it all again the next day. Jokes like these break down the seriousness that your standard isekai may take, and continue throughout the series to give a more friendly feel of the show. Characters constantly raise event flags, seemingly on purpose, and the world is very quick to act on these. Seriously, take a shot every time a flag is raised and an event is triggered. You'll be hammered by episode 5. The unexpected continues with the characters, as we're introduced to them one at a time after Aqua and Kazuma, starting with Megumin.
募集の張り紙見させてもらいました。この開口は世界が選択肢定め。私はあなた方のような者たちの出現を待ち望んでいた。我が名はメグミン。
Megumin is a young archwizard from the Crimson Demon clan. Without getting too deep into the manga content, Megumin was a normal Crimson Demon girl before she was saved from certain death by an older Crimson Demon who used explosion magic and had big breasts. Ever since, Megumin has had 2 goals: learn explosion magic and have large breasts. She's at least managed to do one of those. Explosion magic is generally considered a useless or stupid magic, however, as even the most powerful Crimson Demons can only cast it once or twice before depleting themselves of mana. Megumin is no exception, and because of this, she has a hard time finding a party that will take her in. She also cannot cast her magic in enclosed spaces, and her casting time is rather long. She refuses to learn any other type of magic, instead dumping all of her skill points into improving her explosion magic. While this may seem reckless and stupid, it is. Megumin was actually at top of her class in school, and she graduated well ahead of her classmates. She's also best girl. Kazuma, a loser from the real world, who spends his days not going to school but instead playing video games. He's not very strong, fast, or capable of taking damage, but his unique skill set allows him to take charge and see the world around him for what it is, a horribly unbalanced MMORPG. Kazuma is the leader of the group, the glue that holds the crew together, and the creator of plans and strategies. His class is Adventurer, so he can learn any skill from any class at a slightly higher skill point cost. His stats are all average with the exception of his luck stat, which is extremely high, and his intelligence, which is slightly above average. While he can be an asshole at times, it's generally in a retort or to ground a member in the heat of battle. He's still more useful than Aqua. Aqua is the water goddess of the afterlife. She's an energetic and simple-minded girl who likes to receive reverence for her status and easily angers. As an archpriest and a goddess, she is powerful against demons and the undead, and is able to resurrect recently deceased people as well as purify water supplies. She's the highest leveled among her party, and her abilities are off the charts. All of her stats are maxed out with the exception of intelligence and luck, both being extremely low. Rather than learning skills which would benefit her party though, she spends most of her skill points learning party tricks. As annoying as Aqua can be, she would be missed if she was no longer part of the team. The dynamic she has with the other party members serves to balance them out, and despite her chaotic tendencies, she's often the voice of reason when others fail. Darkness is a crusader who possesses powerful offense and defense. She's capable of taking a lot of damage before falling, and her attacks are extremely powerful. That is, if she could hit anything. She's either extremely inaccurate in her attacks due to incompetence, or she intentionally misses in hopes that she takes more damage. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention she's a masochist. It's her dream to be ravaged by monsters in front of a crowd. Regardless, she's very loyal and will protect her friends and party members at all costs. She's also a noble from the influential Dustiness family. I actually really wanted to like Darkness, however she's never really given a chance to grow. Her appearances are usually boiled down to her being embarrassed, beat on, or both. We're essentially forced to watch her get off on screen with no character behind it. And as much as I'm okay with characters having fun on screen, I do wish Darkness was more than just a punchline. This is something I'd hope would change in the manga, but was disappointed. Perhaps when I read the light novel she will get more development, but that doesn't solve the issue at hand. She's an empty character used mostly for a punchline, and it's rather unfortunate. There are many side characters in the show of varying importance. It's not that crucial, so I'll just kinda rush over this part. Union is a more useful but less lolly version of Megumin. Ue's is the shopkeeper version of the useless goddess Aqua. Chris is a badass thief that you wish was in the show more, and Eris pads her chest. This is the part that I'd normally talk about, the differences between seasons, but the show was very consistent and Season 2 is just as good, if not better than Season 1. But I do want to talk about the OVAs. For the uninitiated, an OVA is like a bonus episode, usually not aired on TV, and directly released by the powers that be. They typically aren't important to the show and are very often skippable. There are currently 2 OVAs for Konosuba, and while one of them is fine, the other one is... It's fan service. It's just fan service, guys. I'm cool with fan service, especially in an OVA. I just wanted a reason to include that clip in the video. You can skip the OVAs if you're not into that kind of thing, but let's be honest, you're gonna watch them now. In closing, Konosuba is, forgive my puns, a blessing to this wonderful world. A breath of fresh air in a tired genre, a show that anyone can enjoy, even those that aren't into anime. A gateway drug. Its comedy remains slapstick without resulting in characters just yelling with a funny face, its characters are believable and endearing, and its fantasy world is charming. I don't think I'll be doing a rating system on this channel, but I give it an 87.
Konosuba!